on that standout performance against Teofimo, because that was a giant wake-up call for the entirety of boxing.
Yeah.
The level that you're on was it so high that you could be in there with a world champion, and make him a guy who beat,
Yeah.
I mean, legit guys, including Lomachenko.
Yeah.
That was a big victory for him, and you made him look like he had no business in there.
The Teofimo fight wasn't an upset. It was a tribunal. Rogan frames it perfectly. A man who scalped Lomachenko, a genuine pound-for-pound landmark, reduced to a fighter who looked like he had no business in there. That's not just a win. That's a statement carved into the sport's architecture. When a champion of that caliber gets dismantled so thoroughly that casual fans start questioning whether he was ever that good, the fighter doing the dismantling isn't operating in the same division of excellence. He's operating in a different dimension of it. The smart money knows. Moments like this don't just reshape rankings. They rewrite the narrative of what a boxer at Shakur's weight class is even supposed to look like. The wake-up call Rogan references wasn't for boxing fans. It was for every fighter circling Shakur's name on their comeback blueprint.
Well, you're a very tactical guy. Like, you know, there's a thing, one of the things I love about watching you fight is I love watching a guy who sets traps and who avoids damage. And you are one of the absolute very best ever at setting traps and avoid damage. You take so few punches in your fights.
Yeah.
There was that one fight where recent fight where you decided to stand with that dude. Who was that?
William Zepeda.
That's right. Zepeda's a tough guy, man.
He is.
But you fought that in a different way. Did you do that on purpose?
It was partly on purpose and partly to get his respect. Because I really ain't have a choice but to get his respect. Because if I'd try to outbox him and move around the ring, I probably would have made the fight harder than it had to be. So I knew, like, I got to, like, make him respect me early. And that's what I kind of, like, started the fight hot.
Shakur didn't stumble into standing with Zepeda. He chose the crucible. That admission, partly on purpose, partly to get his respect, is a window into a fight IQ that most analysts never credit him for, because it sounds like vulnerability when it's actually precision warfare. Watch the geometry of it. If Shakur boxes beautifully, moves fluidly, makes it a master class. Zepeda's forward pressure starts winning the scorecard in the eyes of judges who reward aggression over artistry. So Shakur weaponizes aggression against itself, meets Zepeda in the trenches early, establishes physical dominance, then controls the fight from a position of earned respect rather than contested distance. He didn't abandon his blueprint, he expanded it. The revelation, the most dangerous version of Shakur Stevenson, isn't the one moving beautifully on the outside. It's the one who chose to stand there and still won.
Why would it make it harder than it had to be if you boxed him?
Because sometimes when you, like, a guy, like, if you watch today's boxing, judges give the fight to mostly the guys that's coming forward. So if I'd have went in there and bagging up and moving around the ring while he was more active, it probably would have looked as though he's winning the fight. So I had to make sure, like, the judges know who's winning. So I kind of had to take some in order to give some in that fight.
That was a very unusual fight for you.
This is the confession boxing's power structure doesn't want verbalized. Shakur lays it bare. Judges reward the guy coming forward, so sometimes you have to take shots. Real shots, brain shots, just to communicate dominance to people scoring from ringside. He had to take some to give some. That's not a tactical adjustment. That's a structural flaw in the sport's judging criteria, forcing elite defensive fighters to absorb punishment they don't need to absorb just to avoid a robbery. The strategic layer here is damning. Shakur's IQ is so high he can identify the judging bias and adapt mid-fight, but the adaptation costs him neurological capital. He's essentially paying a violence tax levied by incompetent scorecards. The revelation isn't about Shakur's toughness. It's about a sport that penalizes mastery and rewards spectacle, compelling its most gifted practitioners to become their own worst enemies to survive the system.
Like, man, you are giving up your brain for some
Facts.
people who don't give a fuck about you.
Oh my God. That's the God's honest truth right there. I be seeing a lot of fighters nowadays where they stand there like punching bags and let people hit on them, and you'll see them after the fight, they marked up, and in a few years, I don't think that they're going to be able to speak as well as like somebody like me, so.
No, there's a bunch of examples of that, obviously. We could all see it. But, you know, it's a complicated sport. And for people that don't understand the sport and don't appreciate the sport, they just see two dudes punching each other. But they don't see subtle movements. And you were doing this like half-out jab and then popping him with it. And you could tell he had no idea it was coming. It was so frustrating for Teofimo.
Rogan says it, and Shakur doesn't flinch. He amplifies it. Watch what happens in that exchange. Two men staring directly into the sport's darkest corridor and refusing to look away. Shakur surveys the modern landscape of fighters standing like punching bags, accumulating damage, and projects forward. Those marked up faces become the blueprint for what a fighter sounds like in 15 years. This isn't arrogance. It's survival intelligence weaponized as self-preservation doctrine. The tactical layer Shakur operates in isn't just about angles and footwork. It's about longevity architecture, building a career that doesn't consume the man living it. Meanwhile, Rogan dissects that half jab, that subtle timing tool that made Teofimo feel the punch that wasn't coming. Because frustrated fighters are dangerous, and a frustrated Teofimo is a readable one. The genius was never the power. It was the psychological suffocation dressed up as technical boxing.
You see, I might outbox people. Then some nights I might stand there and beat a guy up and beat them at their own game. So I think for me, I'm the most complete fighter in boxing.
Well, that mindset is what you need, especially in a sport where you've dominated divisions.
Yeah.
Right? So if you've dominated divisions and you're still looking to achieve a higher level, you can't just look at the guys that are your competitors.
Yeah.
Because at 135, it was so hard for you to get fights.
Yeah.
At 140 now, what are you going to do? You just do that to Teofimo?
It scared a lot of people.
Yeah. Nobody wants to look stupid. I mean, Teofimo's had some good fights in the past and he's lost in the past, but he's never looked out of place.
Yeah.
And he looked out of place in that
It's
fight.
crazy, though, because when I seen him, when he fought in New York on the Times Square card, I'm like, man, this dude is nice. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, whoa, like, I couldn't believe, like, how good he was.
I'm the most complete fighter in boxing. Said clean. No qualifier, no hedge, no asterisk. And the evidence architects the argument. Some nights Shakur outboxes you into submission. Some nights he stands in your phone booth and beats you at your own game. That's not a style. That's a complete fighting system with multiple operating modes. Rogan triangulates the danger. Shakur already suffocated 135, forced 140 into a drought of willing opponents, then did this to Teofimo. The ripple effect is measurable. It scared a division. But the revelation lives in Teofimo's own assessment. Shakur watched him at Madison Square Garden, sat ringside, thought, this dude is nice, and then went and made him look out of place anyway. That's the gauntlet of Shakur's genius. He respects the opposition fully, measures them honestly, and still dismantles them on purpose. The most dangerous fighter isn't the one who underestimates you. It's the one who sees you clearly and beats you anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
And I would say, go watch the Barboza fight. Go watch the Lomachenko fight. Go watch many of his fights. The guy was an excellent fighter. Still is an excellent fighter. But there are levels.
Yes.
And the mindset that you have, I am the best fighter in the world, period, is what allows you to beat guys like that. That and the hard work.
For sure. Like I said, I'm God-given and I work super hard, and I think the biggest thing that I don't get credit for is my discipline. Like, I feel like I'm very disciplined when it comes down to making the sacrifices and making the life changes that I need to make in order to be 100% on fight night. And I feel like a lot of people don't give me. I mean, they don't know.
They don't know. That's
they just
all it
see
is.
it. You know, I be seeing like fans tweet and they be like, "Oh, get off Twitter or get off social media," but I'll be on social media like right after I just left the gym. I'm like, what's the problem?
Discipline, not talent. Discipline. Shakur names the thing that doesn't trend, doesn't go viral, doesn't get clipped for highlight reels. The sacrifices, the life changes, the calibration required to arrive at fight night at 100%. That's the foundation nobody photographs. Rogan frames the mindset correctly. I am the best fighter in the world. Period isn't delusion. It's the structural requirement for beating men like Teofimo. Men who've proven themselves against Lomachenko, against Barboza, against legitimate crucibles. The blueprint Rogan traces, God-given talent plus relentless work plus iron discipline, is the triangle that produces generational fighters. And the fans tweeting about social media while Shakur is posting fresh from the gym captures the gap perfectly. The audience sees the product, never the process. The revelation? Shakur's greatest weapon isn't the jab, isn't the footwork, isn't the ring IQ. It's the invisible architecture of sacrifice that makes all of those things terminal on fight night.
Dude to come in the ring and beat me, like, cause I just don't see it happening with none of these guys.
Well, it's like how far you've gone, right? Like you started off at 5 and been intensely focused for all these years. How old are you now?
28.
28,
Yep.
which is prime.
Yeah.
That's it. Like 28 to like 34 is the best year. But then again, you look at Terrence. I mean, he's at an age where a lot of people say it's over, and he put on the performance of his career against Canelo.
I don't know how he do it. He's like a different human being. Like,
He's so smart.
if I'm honest, he is like the reason. I'm not gonna say he the reason why I am who I am today, but he brought my game from like where it was at to like a very high level, and he don't even realize like he done that. Like me just being in the gym, able to watch him and pick up on like the little things that he doing, his bad days, his good days, I'm seeing everything. And like when he come out there on fight night, how prepared and how ready, how confident. Like honestly, that dude he put me into a
whole game. Shakur talking about Crawford is the sport's most honest moment of generational transfer. A fighter who doesn't even realize he's been a masterclass curriculum for the man sitting across from Rogan. Watching Crawford's bad days and good days, absorbing the confidence architecture of a man who dismantled Canelo at an age where the sport writes obituaries. That's a different kind of training camp. Shakur synthesizes it cleanly. I don't know how he does it. He's like a different human being. That reverence from a man who believes no one can beat him in that ring is the most revealing data point in this entire documentary. Crawford didn't just elevate Shakur's technical game, he weaponized Shakur's belief system, showed him what prime looks like when it refuses to expire. The revelation that ties the entire narrative together. Shakur Stevenson, at 28, standing at the apex of his prime, carrying Crawford's blueprint in his muscle memory and his own surgical genius in his hands, isn't a future problem for the division. He already is the problem. He's been the problem. The division just hasn't finished reckoning with it yet. Shakur Stevenson isn't the future of boxing. He's already the present. And the present has a 6-year prime left on the clock, Crawford's DNA in his muscle memory, and a problem nobody in the division has solved yet. The cage door is open. Nobody's walking in.